And every year is slightly different, but the idea behind the whole activity is that we have a dedicated month to work on the phenotypes together within Odyssey. And usually we don't have a specific topic in mind, but this year is different because we have this 14 studies that people said they want to do. Now, we don't know how many actually will go through with this, with their ideas. But what we thought in general in Odyssey is that it would be nice to support people by organizing the activities within the bounded set, within the bounded time frame, so that they know that they can get the support they need regarding specific task, which is, for example, building phenotypes for their studies in February. So now there are people on the call who actually also are study leads. Like, for example, Oleg wants to do a study on AKI, and that would be very relevant for him. So the way we are thinking about organizing this whole thing this year is we will have 4 weeks in February, and each week we usually have a community call where we present the work, but also do some learning exercises. So the thought is that the study leads and the people who volunteered to do phenotyping with them will follow along, and by the end of February, they will complete, in an ideal world, their phenotypes for whatever they want to study in their studies. So what phenotype completion means? It means that during the first week, we will talk about clinical descriptions using the prompt that Gotham built that talks to ChatGPT and extracts all the necessary information that you need to create your phenotype. Then we will also do some brief literature search and Odyssey phenotype library exploration to see if these phenotypes already exist. Like, for example, AKI phenotype already exists in multiple versions. So Oleg would need, after a Tuesday call, he would need to assess whether this AKI phenotype is good for him. If so, he can just reuse it. If not, we'll build this phenotype from scratch. And this is all from previous literature. And this is where week 2 starts, where we will show how to think about concept set creation. And again, a lot of people on this call are familiar with that, and even participated in the tutorials on how to create concept sets. Again, thinking of Oleg. But we will think about creating concept sets and then also building the logic for the phenotypes. So by the end of week 2, everybody presumably will have their phenotypes ready, meaning the concept sets and logic. And then during week 3 and 4, we will evaluate these phenotypes using existing tools such as cohort diagnostics. And if needed, we will iterate over those phenotypes. And during week 4, we will show some other tools that we have in Odyssey, like Phevaluator, with no expectation that people run it, just FYI. So with this idea that by the week 3 they have, by the week 2, end of week 2 they have phenotypes, and week 3, 4 we iterate together over it, and by the end of February, everybody who wants to still run a study will be equipped with the phenotypes. Now, I will say one more thing before I will pause, is that naturally you can say, okay, but this evaluation, it must happen on the data, right? So what if we don't have the data? So in that case, because Aza and I will be running it and we have J&J data at our disposal, we will be able to run cohort diagnostics on the J&J data so that we at least have something to iterate over, something to base our decisions about phenotypes off of. But for other participants, other study leads, if they have their own data, we will encourage them to also use it. Now I think I covered the basics. Also, Aza is here, as I just covered the basics, and I'm sure there's multiple questions, and I'm gonna stop. Or maybe not.
And did you guys go over the idea of this year? How the whole thing
Yes.
from Patrick? Okay. No questions? Looks like Anna, you're so clear.
Or maybe it was completely unclear.
Yes.
So people are like, we understand nothing, but we don't want to ask a stupid question. There are no stupid questions here. So I guess
Anna or Azad, do you know how many unique phenotypes
Yes.
are needed to be
So,
built?
so actually, and I maybe should orient this particularly for Lana to know where all the documents are. So I started a folder for, or one of you, Anna, started a folder in Phenotype February 2025. If you go into the teams.
Did I share the screen, Azad?
Yeah, share screen, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so there's Phenotype February 2025. Actually, I don't know now if I think I have it. Yeah. Okay, so the 3 folder right now. So I started a task list for us, basically the coordinators of the work. That's me, Anna, Gautam, and anybody who wants to contribute. But like these things that we need to finish, like starting today, including putting the post for kicking off Phenotype February that I started. But before that, Gautam, just to answer your questions. Answer your question. So this sheet has the entire list. Yeah. Odyssey 2025 data-driven phenotype needs. So these are the 14 studies that were proposed by members of the community. These are the study leads. And then Patrick went through the exercise of breaking down the question, defining the phenotype required for every question. So for example, the first question about obesity management proposed by Kim, it's an estimation study. And for that, we will need an indication. So patients with obesity, which technically needs a phenotype. And then here are the exposures, which usually are drugs phenotypes, and the outcome. So basically, our union, our universe of all the phenotypes that will need to be done is the union of all these phenotypes. Now, it's the idea here is people will many people contribute to different parts, to different tasks, or to different parts of the process, depending on their abilities and skills and interest. We're gonna break it down, as Anna already probably cleared. We're gonna break it down to the 4 weeks. And the idea is that there are 3 main steps that we need to do in phenotyping. And the first, we're going to do the first step for everything. Anna, Gautam, and I will on Tuesday calls for the community, or anybody else will kind of show a demo of how you do this particular step, taking one of these phenotypes as an example. But what is expected is for the study leads to carry the work, doing doing their phenotypes with the people who contribute to complete that task during the week. The Friday calls we will discuss problems, track progress, troubleshoot, help groups if they have issues, or do certain tasks. What we need to be done on the.
And some of this the study leads need to. Patrick sent out this spreadsheet to the study leads, and study leads need to review it to make sure it's accurate. For example, in row number 4, antibiotics will be separate outcome cohorts for all sorts of different antibiotics. So it's going to be like 10 cohorts or something. While number 3, we already know that a lot of these phenotypes are already created, like MI, stroke, heart failure, Legend has it. So we can borrow from it.
So I actually was thinking one of the first steps, because we're thinking of clinical descriptions, cohort development, but the cohort development step starts with, do we have a definition in the library? Like, we don't need to create things de novo. And Gautam, that's where you also can we can start with things like people. One of the tasks is to look at the repo of the library, and if a cohort exists, just like pose it as at least the starting point. And then the study lead can take it as is, or they can talk about, I don't know. but basically evaluating and take it. So not everything will be, actually a lot of these things we already have. Gautam, the exposure cohorts are in the Odyssey library, or you would never put them in there?
So drug exposure codes were never in the library.
Yeah, but those are basically templated cohorts.
Yeah, we can create those. So these can be, most of these can be pretty much templated. Yeah.
But we can
Ex-
generate them the way we did unless there's some formulation or something like that.
Yeah, like glucocorticoids would be oral probably, not obviously. The form is antibiotics, oxygen therapy. Some of these are, this is complicated.
Yeah,
This is
that you know that I can spell it out. It's gonna be it's treatment pathways. So it will be corticosteroids, oral corticosteroids as one group, which is going to be a class, but then antibiotics will be split into classes. So like, or I actually will need to legitimately think about that more. I'm not quite sure yet whether we like need to pull in formulations, oral versus injectable. Like it's a whole thing. So this is why I'm
yeah, but
saying
that's a
like
clinical description. Yeah.
we should not treat this list at face value because I assume it's going to change. Although, like, but the number 9, Oleg, major surgery. This is something that guy from that place worked on, Evan Minty. And then AKI, we have a bunch of AKI of various fidelity.
Yeah, we'll probably need more, I mean, different definitions of AKI first. Major surgery, it's a clinical problem because no one ever defined major surgery. I mean, no, don't get me wrong. There are lots of definitions of major surgery, but all of them are incomplete. So it can be actually a separate publication just about how to define major surgery. So we have a list of major surgery operations. So this one is clear, but we would also like to do some sub-analysis. So probably we'll include something like cardiovascular procedures, major abdominal procedures, so just to extend it a little bit. And for AKI with or without dialysis, and also mild, moderate, severe AKIs.
You will not be able to do moderate severe. That I'm telling
Yeah,
you right
probably
now.
yes, but at least dialysis.
Dialysis we can
Yeah.
do easily if we pull in measurements, which ideally you want to do. Then it's like a whole nother layer with units, but you know all of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess part of the first week, which is clinical description, is looking at the current label that Patrick put in and decide if that's the right, granular level of what people want to target, and then have some description of what that means. And for exposures, that's also true. Maybe you don't need like a full description, but you at least need to decide on the level. Is it a ingredient, or is it a group, or is it a class, or is it a certain formulation, and so forth. So that could be part of the clinical description, like specification. Okay, maybe we can go to the task.
I'm sorry, as I also have one question. So
Yeah.
when we discuss going back and forth, I mean, it can change. What's the timing? I mean,
Yeah,
we'll probably get back to this in April.
No. So
No.
everything will happen in that 1 month, starting tomorrow till the end of February. It is so Oleg is in a different position because he is a study lead. So the way is that every study lead, we will try to accomplish all 4 steps or 3 steps for all the phenotypes, and it will be done by end of February. Not everybody will finish, but that's kind of part of a way to know which of the studies will carry forward. So, and it's not like one person will need to do all the steps. The idea is we as a community all like contribute, and then we're coordinating the work in the working group, and then the study lead are following up with their own phenotypes, but people will be signing up to do certain tasks. So you will have people that say, well, I can find develop a cohort for what's the outcome? So for the doesn't matter for your outcome, and then we will have to say like, okay, people will sign up. I'll come up with the first version of the cohort. We can help in concept set concept set expression. We'll look at the logic, and then you will have it like at a particular time throughout those 3 weeks. We will run cohort diagnostics. We'll do the evaluation, but it will be like a whole bunch of people do 2 steps with the contribution, and then the study lead is responsible for their own definitions, and we will help into make sure that the steps are done correctly and QC and stuff like that. But if the study to carry forward, everything will be done by the end of February. Again, a lot of these phenotypes already exist, or there's a starting point, or somebody in the either exists in the library, or some working group already figured it out, like the surgery part, for example, and so forth.
Okay, so no extension past February. And let's say if we, I don't know, during some test runs, we think that we would rather, I don't know, add 1 more cohort, it will not be possible.
Yeah,
No,
that's
it will
fine.
be.
Yeah.
It will be.
It's mostly
We
about
will
this,
be
yeah.
able. Anybody will be able to iterate. Is just what we see a lot in the communities, that because people have other priorities, it's kind of hard to organize your time and also move it forward unless there is a general push. So having these boundaries just helps the study leads to begin with to move their studies forward, as opposed to like them just being in the limbo. But there will be no hard stop on like modifying stuff. You're the study lead, you can really do whatever.
I think it's fair to say, Anna, if the phenotypes are not done by February, then the next phase, which is March, which would be like data network, it's unlikely that the Odyssey steering committee would push for the study, which does not have a developed phenotypes. So that's basically the gist. Like if you don't finish the phenotyping by the end of February, then those who have finished the phenotypes will go to the next stage.
First iterations, yeah. And also with, let me just direct it to Oleg because he's a study lead. So yes, steering committee provides a useful push, but study can absolutely happen without it. Because a lot of studies are carried out asynchronously in the Odyssey community as network studies, and like we know all of the steps for it, and because you all like know all the necessary people to ask questions, even if something doesn't fall into place in February, we will be able to pick it up together. It's just for a random dude from mid of nowhere who's new to Odyssey, for them it would be super hard to do it without steering committee because they know nobody and like they don't know how to operate within Odyssey. But like for you, for example, it's not going to be a problem because I imagine like if Evan and the whole work group are involved, like the major surgery can take like forever. So I wouldn't be discouraged if like you cannot get your specific phenotypes done by the end of February, because we will be able to help you throughout anyway, with like technical stuff and everything. But for everybody else, yeah, that would be like the gist, that we want people done by the end of February.
Yeah, got it. Thank you. So it does make sense.
Okay, so going back to logistics. So Gautam, can you go to the tasks? I just started and I didn't even finish typing everything, but so there are things that need to be done right away. So in terms of in terms of just logistics, and then mainly like make sure that we have control over this. So currently we have people who have access to everything going to happen in the working group folders in Teams. But not all the study leads are actually members of the working group, which means that they might not have access to Lana or Gautam, who who own the channel, we need to make sure that, yes, all the study owner, all the study leads, which are listed in that Excel sheet, are members of the working group, so they will have access to the post, to the conversation, to all the artifacts that we will be creating. And that has to happen, yeah, but next week. Okay. So the way we're gonna, I don't know how you guys feel about how we are gonna organize. So there are 14 studies, and there are many phenotypes. We're gonna have one. We have to create like a dashboard, like not dashboard, but like an Excel sheet that we're gonna call it the tracker, which has the full entire. And I think that is in the step under this. Yeah, I'm talking about the Excel sheet. So out of Patrick's Excel sheet, Gautam, you already did some math on it. We will have to create a tracker where there is one phenotype per row, and that's mainly for progress tracking. And it's not much detail, just like basically if the step is done, and at the end in the cohort development and evaluation, we need a cohort ID, and that ID, Gautam, I think need to be the ID in the phenotype library, not in the demo atlas. Or we have to manage how we're going to track the cohort IDs. But I think people will collaborate in the public atlas, but the final JSONs need to be in the cohort, in the phenotype library. Does that make sense? Or we can stay in the public atlas and then see how we're gonna maintain those IDs. But the idea, the end result, is that all the developed cohorts need to be added to the library. That is our like done flag.
I mean, those who will go through will create their repos for their studies, so the JSONs will end up being there because that's JSONs for cohorts are part of the study package. So from that perspective, probably it's not that material. We want it to be in phenotype library for sure. But I think that, like once it's done, it's their job to move it over to their GitHubs.
Correct. But my point is that at the beginning, we will need a way to track. The final product is a cohort ID. The question is, where's the ID? Is it probably the thing that is accessible for everyone currently is the demo atlas, and that's where the IDs will be like tracked on that Excel, on that tracker. But eventually, it will be on Gautam to add them to the repo of the library, and create them in the secure atlas.
Yeah.
Right, because Gautam currently, adding them to the library does not require, it's just the maintenance of that repo, which does not require data. So you can still run that step. He said, yeah, I heard him. Okay. Okay, so we need to create a tracker out of Patrick's sheet. Anna, do you want to do that?
Well, if the question is if I want to do this, then no.
In all cases, we have to have the starting point. I think after people finish their clinical description, is we were going to get the final like cohort labels, at least, that we'll put in the tracker.
Yes, I'm thinking that too. So they will send that, and we will like create a spreadsheet with like names of the cohorts, name of the person, and then columns being the steps, and binary yes, no, completed, and then at the end it will be like cohort ID and maybe links to the public cohort diagnostics.
Exactly. So that will be like a comment for all the studies. Now, in terms of the folders, and that's back to Lana. Should Lana go ahead and like create folders inside the phenotype February for every study, or should we do clinical like every week? And then we expect that people work on their clinical description and put all the clinical description in that folder.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Okay, so Gautam, for every step, there's an input and there's an output. So,
Yeah.
and those will become the artifacts of the cohort of the phenotypes, right? So,
Yeah.
for example, the first artifact is the clinical description. So we will ask people to go ahead and create, and we'll demo how we do clinical description, and then that week people will be working on their clinical description. When they finish that, where is that place they're going to store this artifact? It's going to be a folder in Team. The question is, and that's a stupid question, but like just for organization perspective, inside the Phenotype Working Group 2025 folder, should we create 14 folder, one for each study here, like right here, or should we just create week 1 or clinical description folder? Yeah, like.
Let me ask you a simple question. So we have these numbers. Are there anything shared across studies? So each row is a study. Are there core definitions that are shared across studies?
Possible.
Okay.
Maybe the first task is to create the full master tracker, and from there.
Yeah, so I think what we need to do is like the tracker should be, so it's phenotype centered, not study centered, right? So if we are phenotype centered, then the tracker is phenotype, and then you inside the phenotype, you can say it is associated with some study. That would be a better approach, and then you can create folders for each of those phenotypes rather than at the study level.
Yeah. Agree.
The unit of representation is a phenotype, and so you have to transform this from Patrick's 15 items to a long form that has these.
Yeah.
And then create a folder. Some of these we don't need to create folders, like they're drugs. Why do we need to create folders for? There's not much to do. But so we can pass a judgment and say, okay, for these we use a templated approach. For the rest, we need more work. So the step 1 is to transform this to a long form, which has 1 row per phenotype. The second task is to determine if this needs extra work or it can be templated. If it requires extra work, we give it an ID, or a proper name, and a folder for it. If it's templated, we just do it. Right, and then once we decide that it needs a folder, then we say, okay, study leads, here's you're responsible for it, and we look for collaborators from a phenotyping perspective and think about who can take leads on it. So that would, your unit of representation would be the phenotype.
So I think the first step is, Anna, you create the master tracker, which will basically collapse things into the full list of phenotypes that need to be created. Before you go into the steps, before you think of it as a tracker, let's just get that information about needs work, basically, like if it's a drug, or basically you can just say drug or condition. And if it's the drug, let's not try to create, we don't need the full folders because it's probably templated. And if it's a condition, let's create a folder for it.
Do we want to?
And I think we can need another, sorry.
If it's a condition, do you want to take the rubric of if we feel that there is a mature phenotype for it, we don't do any work, we just reuse
like
it.
For example, Legend's outcome, which is the same outcomes for the obesity study, I think we just take Legend's cardiovascular outcome.
Yeah, so the first step now that we had steering committee, the first step is for me to email that chain with the study leads and say, hey, this is the file in Teams. Please by Tuesday, make sure you go in and proofread this file and expand if the expansion is needed or clarification.
Yeah, add notes if you want, but make sure that this is the right label for your phenotype. Yeah. And then maybe explain that next week on the call, make sure you attend the call, and that and in the call we're gonna go through how we're gonna accomplish 2 things. We're gonna demo the first step, which is the clinical description that you will be expected to complete by the next week, and then we can also solicit contributors.
Oh, right. That's another thing is that
Yeah,
we need,
yeah,
we need that list.
I'm coming to that. So, okay, so we have the folding. We understand the folding structure and we understand how we're going to create it. The thing that needs to go tonight, either from we can draft it and it can go out of Lana, or we can draft it and it can go out of any of our accounts, is we need a forum post that declare what Phenotype February is, and at the same time so we will solicit, like we will put the form of like if you want to contribute. So I got them. I drafted a post. It's in that folder. And maybe Gotham, it's on you to go in and edit it. Anna looked at it, but also can edit it. Yep. It is edited by ChatGPT. That's why it's very cheesy. I started it very cheesy as well. So but it added all these icons. I'm like, oh my God. But I basically said we're excited. This is what we accomplished in the last 2 years, in the last 3 years of Phenotype February, and I'm excited for this year. And this year we will take it from dry January, because that's what Patrick announced in dry January, and we have those 14 studies, and we will be, the goal is basically to complete the phenotype for those for the things required in those studies. And I generally put the general structure, what we're going to do in week 1, week 3, week 4. That's coming straight out of Patrick's email. And then the last thing is how to get involved. So those are very generic, but I think here we need to come with a Google form or a place where people can put their name and which step of the process they can contribute to.
Okay.
And post and add it to that post.
Okay.
And maybe also to the post link to the folder in Teams, so people know where to find the material and which phenotypes, maybe like what are the 14 studies, and like able to see that Excel sheet. And then we need to create a form, which also on Tuesday call we will put it in the chat, so also people can add their names. Now people can either add their names on a specific step or specific. I don't think at this point we can do specific phenotypes, but maybe just I don't know what information should we get from people when we get their interest.
Names, email address, how much time commitment they want to give, do they have access to data?
And do they have skills in concept set building, core evaluation, clinical description, something like that? We can put like main matrix for the skills.
Yeah.
And they can check whatever apply.
Okay.
So that's going to create a pool of people who are the contributors. So that would be people who will fill it up. I assume people who came to the call maybe are interested, like now. And then the list that Patrick has from people who said they want to contribute to the study. So Anna, that would be the pool of contributors altogether. Okay, now another stressing task is on Tuesday, we will demo the clinical description. We have to pick 1 or 2 examples from the list that we have from Patrick right now, and just show like what is a clinical description and how we do it currently through GenAI or something like that. I actually have a conflict on Tuesday. I can only hop on the last 30 minutes of the call, and I have it.
Gotham doesn't want to do this because he's busy.
I have to check my calendar. I have no idea.
Well, it just makes sense because you can say I build this prompt as opposed of us saying Gotham build this prompt. But yeah, we can take AKI for example. That's a good one. So Azad, don't stress out. We will see if Gotham can do it. If he cannot do it, we'll figure it out.
It's fine. It's not a big deal. It's easy.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. But Anna, maybe you, I think the first part is, I don't know, maybe we won't have like things ready for people to, maybe the first part will be explaining what is Phenotype February this month,
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
we're organizing it. And then say the first week is clinical description. We're going to demo now,
Yeah.
or whoever, either you or Gautam. And then Anna, and then solicit the contributors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we need to have the things in place, the structure by Tuesday, so that we can just point to people. I was also thinking that, meeting on Friday, because Friday is our next phenotype work group meeting, is kind of late, so we can
Yeah.
do a Wednesday meeting. So like we say, okay,
So Lana, could you put on your to schedule a meeting, say on either Wednesday or Tuesday, and the main target for that will be the 3 of us and the study leads, because they are the basically contact. They are the second, like they're responsible for their phenotypes.
and I will send Lana the list of the study leads.
Yeah.
This is not for the upcoming Tuesday. This is for the Tuesday after that, the one preceding the meeting.
Sorry,
or-
Tuesday is the call. Wednesday. Well, let's target Wednesday.
No, it can be Tuesday, or it
On the
can be
same day?
Tuesday.
Okay.
Well, or maybe not.
Tuesday or Wednesday is fine, but am I saying, is this going to be for next week or for the week after that? Because the following meeting, the scheduled out on the 14th.
February
No, this
5th.
will.
So
Next
do
week.
we, for next week? Okay, all right. So Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, a meeting with the 14 leads and this core group.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Wait,
Add
Gautam,
people,
we can't hear you.
If you want to add people, you go. Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, just this is how you add people. You just go to the work group and then add member, type their email address, and it will come. So if I'm already there, then it didn't even say. Something like that.
It's just Raul.
You may not be able to add yourself because you're already on it.
Gonna add Patrick, and when I add him, it says done. That's it. I think I downgraded Patrick from an admin to a member, but that's okay.
When we did last year, we did actually meetings every week, right, Gautam? So how did you manage that? Did you just add?
Yeah, so I started. I went here. I would in the general channel there was a way to create a meeting.
And then so Lana, we're gonna have, instead of every other week, we're gonna have meetings every Friday in February.
Okay. And this is for the 14 leads plus this core group or just us?
Open to the open to the entire.
Okay, so
so-
this is going out to the whole phenotype
Working group.
development working group. Okay. And this is
Yeah.
going to be the same time, 9 to 10 every
Yeah.
Friday? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Also
there was a
Wednesday.
way to add it. Maybe it's changed. Get it out.
Okay, so immediate tasks. Immediate task. Finish the forum. Finish editing the forum post, and then make sure it's out by tonight.
Yeah, I'll create this form with a template.
And then the form will have a template for contributor soliciting.
Yeah.
And then that's on Gautam. Anna, on you is the tracker. No, first send an email for the study leads. Make sure they look at what we're calling their phenotype, confirm or change, and then you will produce the tracker.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Anna, you get the email, and Lana, if you would please add them to the membership.
I'm already doing that right now.
Okay, perfect.
And then what was there was one more thing that need to be done.
There,
Oh, and then
Wednesday,
Nana will-
Wednesday, February.
Yes,
Wednesday,
exactly.
February 5th call.
Nana will schedule a call targeting the study leads. That is on Wednesday. And then on
I think, to make it less complex, Lana, when you're creating this calls, you're just creating them in the Phenotype work group. So the emails will go to everybody, and I will add all of the study leads to the team so that they also see it. And then we also will send them, as I will write this email to the study leads, I will make sure to point out that please come to that meeting so that the meeting is open to everybody. But then we also have I will send. So
I'm
you
sorry.
just
So
put
do
the
you
meeting.
not want me to reach out to the 14 leads? Do you want me to just put something on the books and invite them to it?
create a meeting in this Phenotype development work group for Wednesdays, and also as I said, every Friday instead of every other Friday. And all of the meetings will be just in the Phenotype work group. And I'm adding this 14 study leads to this work group so that they will see it. So in this way, we don't need to separately reach out to them. They will see it, just to make your life easier.
But
It didn't. Okay.
sorry, I'm just not like, how would you know if the time that we set up is convenient for them, or do we not care if all 14 can participate? Like, that's what, sorry, I'm just so used to setting up one-on-one at the time that's convenient for all that this is.
Right. No,
it just broke me a little bit. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so this is a community collaboration. We offer times. If it's not possible, it's not possible. We can't be.
So what time do you want this? Because essentially it doesn't really matter. It's whatever is convenient for you guys. So what time on Wednesday would you like this call to happen?
I think like 9 a.m. 9 a.m. How do you feel about 9 a.m.?
I'm looking at Gautam's calendar.
Gautam
He's
is
available
the one
at 9.
Calendar is crazy.
He is available at 9 a.m. So we could do it at 9 a.m. on Wednesday, the 5th.
Okay, I have something at 9:30. I'm sorry.
Does it have to be an hour long
9 is
call?
okay, Anna. We can do 30 minutes and we can take it from them. I'm fine.
Okay.
Till 10.
Okay.
So is it
Okay.
a 30-minute or a 1-hour call?
Do an hour.
1
Please.
hour. So from 9 to 10. Okay. And then 9 to 10 on the 7th and all the other Fridays. And it will have the same, shouldn't be the same link as we're currently using for it, or should I, does that make sense what I'm asking? Like, so we have 2 calls that are share link. It's the recurring link for the standard biweekly call. Should it be the same Teams link for this every Friday meeting?
Oh God, we lost Gautam. I'm gonna say yes. I will let him reach out if the answer is no.
I don't think we care. I think we don't care.
And
Whatever
all
is
I think it's
easier.
fine. Yeah, you can use the same one. I think it's fine.
Okay. And this is going out to the entire group.
Yeah.
And I could use the email group that I used to share the agenda
Exactly.
to. Okay. All right. I just want to make sure that.
Yeah. No. I understand. I don't understand how this is done either. I'm always confused with.
Well, I don't know how you created the distribution list. If it's static, then we will need to refresh it because we added people. But if it's dynamic, meaning it somehow pulls from teams, then obviously you don't need to update
it pulls. It's whoever the members
pulls.
at the moment, it sends it out. It sends to the list of members of the people on the. Yeah, I think it pulls.
Okay. That's magic. That sounds like magic. All right. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. It's been I'm sure none of it made sense to anybody other than
okay.
a few folks. I'm sorry that you
I
spent your
did-
time listening to it.
I did give a
It's okay.
warning that this is gonna be a logistical, boring. Okay,
And
we
then,
got the,
I'm
go ahead,
so
Glenn.
sorry. Will the meetings be also announced on that post that's going out today? Okay,
Yes.
all right.
Not,
Yeah.
not. Oh, maybe today too. Oh, actually, yeah. Why
Yeah,
not?
well,
That's-
no,
that's
Because
the
we
that's
point.
a good-
could potentially add the link to the meetings right in the post and
Yeah.
just say that.
Yeah, no, I like that. That's a good idea.
That's
Yeah.
awesome idea.
All right. I think I'll have to play around and see how I could set the meeting on in the group. I mean, I know how to do it off the calendar. I just want to make sure that I'm doing it.
Yeah, and
Within the
if we do
group.
that, we can do. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I mean, that's.
Yeah, no, we can try that. If it didn't work, we'll figure it out. It's the idea is just to send an invite that is public, that is anybody can join. But in the invite, we just need to clarify that this is particularly for Phenotype February targeting, like lead study leads. Make sure to make it. If not, let us know so we can like reach out, something like this. So the idea is make sure we put the objective of the meeting so it's clear. So because it goes to so many people know if they need to come. So just make sure that when you draft it, you say this meeting is the Wednesday one. This meeting is the aim of this meeting is to explain the steps of Phenotype February for the study leads. Following the announcement and maybe link to the forum announcement that we're gonna make tonight, or you wanna do it today? Like, are you gonna send? When are you gonna send the invitations?
Whenever you tell me.
Yeah, no, let's.
I think the forum announcement should come out first with it,
exactly.
and then.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's
All right.
do that maybe on Monday, Lana. I'll touch base with you, or on Monday we'll send the invitation. The forum post will go tonight.
Okay.
And then the invitation for Wednesday call will go on Monday. We will have it out. I'll send you the link. I'll make sure you have the link for the invitation for the post so you can reference it.
Okay.
And then
Yes.
you don't have to put so much details because you're referencing something. You can say this is targeting, this is as part of coordination for Phenotype February. It's aiming to discuss with the study leads the next steps and logistics, see details, and link the
I'll
forum
put
post.
together little blurbs so when we touch base on Monday, I could read it out to you for final approval.
Perfect.
Whenever
Okay.
works for you on Monday, just,
Yeah.
Maybe.
I'll ping you. Yeah, I'll put on my calendar to make sure on Monday I touch base with you or Anna, one of us, so we make sure that
Okay.
the invitation goes out.
Okay. And I'll have it ready with a little blurb for you to
Yeah.
review and approve.
Yeah, one of us will touch it. Anna and I work synchronously all together on Team or Skype. so one of us
I'm
will-
everywhere. I'm on Skype, I'm on Teams. Just, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I think that's all the steps. We just need to make sure we communicate. We just need to make sure we have the folders and everything will be fine. Okay.
All right.
Friday afternoon. Okay.
Sounds good. I look forward to touching base with you on Monday and we'll proceed from there. Okay.
Sounds wonderful. Thanks so much for your help.
Have a great day.
Really,
everyone.
really
Take
appreciate
care,
it.
everyone.